I want to talk about hair. And here is kind of like a recap, or we're going to just go over the different types of hair real quick. Starting with the first, this doll was made in 1962. This is what I believe to be a number 5 ponytail. And she has mohair. Her hair is very fluffy. It is very soft. I'll show you more about that in a minute. Then we're going to move on to, 19, she's probably older. This is Midge, one of the first midges with teeth. She is from about probably 1963, 64. And her hair is very thick and wiry and weird and kind of greasy. It's similar to the bubble cuts. Bubble cuts also hold their shape. Their hair does not get messed up. Like, it's just like, it always looks like that. So it's just some type of weird synthetic hair that they started making in the early 60s. It's weird. Then we're going to go on to more modern hair. Here we have synthetic hair that reminds me of this hair. So this is actually a midge face repainted. And she has what I believe to be synthetic nylon hair. And I'm going to show you more about this particular hair and this doll in a minute. But it is thick and similar to this hair. Now we're going to move on to our more modern hair, the hairs that we're using today. And this here is the saran hair. It is actually saran hair that I bought to do a reroot. It's cat silk saran hair. I'll show you more about that in a minute. It has a very soft, fine texture. It's shiny, it's silky, and it almost feels a bit waxy. Yeah, it's easy to work with, and it's my now go-to favorite. So this is a rerooted hair. This doll here is a modern doll, and she has the saran hair as well. It's just, it has this like kind of greasy-ish, it's not greasy, but it's like a waxy feel to it. And it's very shiny. It's easy to work with. You can use a little bit of heat with it, but there you go, you can see that. Then here we have what I believe, because her hair is just so different compared to my other doll's hairs. This one has the, I can't say it, the Colecleon hair. I'll spell it out. And this hair is really fine. It's very soft. It feels soft. It's not greasy feeling. It's very fluffy and light. She is one of the Barbie basics. It's a beautiful hair, but it's kind of annoying because it definitely gets messed up really easily compared to the other hairs. Can you just stand, please? And then back here, I have a one of a kind that I made, and she is a half reroot. Yeah, I know. When I was experimenting with rerooting, I was afraid to do parts. So half of her head looked fine and the other half was not fine. I didn't know what I was doing with her hair at the time, so I bought this synthetic hair, which is very much similar to this synthetic hair. And you can literally see the difference. I think she was rooted with, it feels like old saran hair. It has that waxier, shinier feel to it. So you can see half and half the difference of the hairs here. Now let's talk more about how and when we would use these hairs for rerooting. Different hairs that you can reroot with. What I have, let's talk about this one first. This is basically, you could buy these on anywhere, eBay, Amazon, pretty cheap for the amount of hair you get. This is, I think it's a nylon synthetic, but it's definitely a synthetic hair. So it's, I mean, other hairs are synthetic too, but this is a thicker hair. It's a lot thicker. So really, this hair is going to be a good hair to use if you're going to be rerooting, say, an old vintage doll head and you want to keep the holes. So I had posted a video of my Skipper doll where I used this type of hair, and I used too much of the hair, so it was a bit bigger and fuller than it needed to be. So when you use this type of hair, if you're using a synthetic hair and you're not really sure what type of synthetic hair it is, use less. Use a lot less. Use less holes, don't put as much in, and you will have a beautiful head of hair. Let me show you an example. Here are my examples. This one, I used the amount of hair you would want to use for saran hair. Okay? So I used a good amount, a generous amount of the hair. And as you can see, this hair is extremely, extremely full. I mean, you can see how high it is up on her head here. I just put way too much hair on her. I mean, it kind of looks cool. Kind of gives her this like 80s rocker kind of look. But I used way too much. It is way too thick. But I used the same hair. You sit down. This doll has been kind of an experiment because she was in a really bad shape with her bit off nose and chewed up lips. This one is a vintage midge, and I used the same holes that the vintage midge had, which were not very many. So as you can see here, we have, you can see her holes. See, really aren't that many holes on the vintage midge except for that part. It's all about that part line. So I did a similar thing with this doll, and it just is a lot. Why is my camera not focusing? It's a lot better, as you can see. It's not as thick, it's not as full. You can see on her head here the thickness and the fullness versus her thickness and fullness, the side shot here. And it's funny because when I was rooting this one's hair, I thought I wasn't using enough. I was like, oh God, I'm probably not using enough, but I don't want to use too much because, you know, I don't want her looking like an 80s rocker. And I'm really happy with the amount of hair I used on this girl. It's nice and flat. You can see the head shape really well. And overall looks good. I didn't even paint her scalp. See, there you go. I did add a few extras. So I added just like a few little extras right here because I just wasn't sure of it, but just enough. There's my part that I did right there. Just a little wee part. And overall, I am happy with how she turned out. So if you're going to be using that thick synthetic, you don't know what it is hair, you just got it because it was cheap, you got to use less of it. But if you're going to be using the name brand hair, stuff that is saran hair, I got this. Yeah, okay, let's put you girls over here. Okay. So here is my PJ. And she needed some new, I gave her some new lips because I didn't like the yellow lips she had. That was weird. And she is being rerooted with her original hair. This is saran hair, and this is Malibu blonde. Yeah, it's literally the same. It's the factory hair. And it feels almost waxy right now, but it falls a lot nicer from the, like, it actually falls, where when you're rerooting with this stuff, it just sticks straight out. So let me show you. Like if you're rooting with this stuff and you put it right here and you put like a little bit of hair Like you're gonna just get your little, that's about what you need. It just kind of sticks up. It's always up. It's very springy. It's very bouncy. It's very thick, but it never gets messed up. That's the cool thing about this type of hair, is that like no matter what you do to your doll's hair is always going to look amazing if you use this. But it's hard to style this stuff. So when you're using saran hair, you've got to, use a little, depending on the hair plugs. So like right here, you can see she originally had a part that goes all the way down because she had pigtails, factory pigtails, but she has a lot more holes around her head, whereas this doll, Vintage Midge, has a lot less holes around her head. I have not made any new holes on this doll head. All the plugs are factory plugs. So you need to take this into consideration when you're rerooting a doll. And I think a lot of people don't realize that when they start getting into rerooting. Like I didn't. I was like, whatever, hair's hair. But it's not. Hair's not just hair. So this stuff, which I got from doll hair from restoredoll.com. And they are amazing. Such amazing quality, fast shipping, just awesome. If you need doll hair, go to them. Don't even go to anybody else. Just go right to them. They have a huge variety, easy to buy, awesome. And they don't know that I'm plugging them. I mean, I only have like a few viewers, so whatever. The other hair that you can use, here, why don't you hold her head there? That's great. And you go over here too. The other hair that you can use, I don't know why you'd want to these days, but back in the day, back in the early 60s, back when, we didn't have much plastic. This is I believe it's a number 5, possibly a number 4, but I'm pretty sure it's a number 5 Barbie. And the difference with her hair versus her hair, I don't know, can you see the difference? This hair looks shiny. It looks, granted, this is a much older doll, but this hair is very fluffy. It's very fluffy. It's extremely fine. Like if you look at it, it's very fine. And it smells nice. Well, I think that this hair, actually, I'm pretty sure this hair is mohair. Back before they really started using plastics, and that probably would explain why the old Vintage Midge's hair is so gross, they used mohair. And mohair is really cool. It's from a goat, and it is very fine, very fluffy, and the fibers can be up to 8 inches, I believe. So it's a really long hair, whereas wool is not as long. Mohair is long. So you can get away with using this for doll reroots. I have not rerooted any dolls with this mohair. Frankly, I'm really afraid of it. I'm thinking I'm going to make wigs out of this hair instead. It's very soft. It's very soft. And it's just beautiful. And you can dye it any color. And that's why a lot of these older vintage dolls have variations in their hair color because of the dye. They didn't always necessarily match the perfect amount of dye when they were doing their hair. Her bangs don't feel like mohair, though. It's weird. It's like her ponytail part feels like mohair, but the bangs are a lot stiffer, and maybe they just put product in. I don't know, but your number 4s, number 3s, and definitely number 1s are all going to have mohair. And if I were to rip out all her hair, which I'm not going to do, you would see that she would either be bald, or in some of the older dolls there was flocking underneath. I don't think she has that, but I don't know because I'm afraid to take her ponytail out. Anyways, I just wanted to show you guys the different hairs, and I wanted you to be aware of the hair that's out there, and make sure that you use the right amount of hair when you are rerooting your doll, because it can make a huge difference. Thanks. Hope that helped you guys.